session planned for today. The last one is best practices Q&A, which is purely questions and answers. If you have anything to ask, myself and the ALCF team are happy to answer. And not necessarily right away, but throughout the coming days and months as well. And I will type my email address in the chat here, just in case. So feel free to reach out. So we'll stay on for maybe a minute more. Please feel free to ask any questions now. And Varuni, let me know, or see any other team member, let me know if there is something else to cover. What are the steps to run a Jupyter notebook? So you need to typically tunnel forward a port from your local device to the ALCF machine. So you will run something like SSH dash capital L, and then the local port, then the local host, and the port number on the remote machine, which will be, if I remember correctly, for Jupyter, it will be something like 8888. You can configure that. And after that, you will launch the Jupyter Notebook server on the remote machine, on the, say, on the GC03 node there. And then in your local browser, you will open the URL with a local host and that port that you've forwarded to the remote machine. I'm not sure if I can do that right away because my port forwarding for that system was broken.
Yeah, I think we are onto it and seeing why it's not, why it's broken, and we're not essentially being able to kind of get the tunneling up and running. Maybe we will like put some instructions once it's available on the ALCF website, so that you can follow those instructions. Um, but yeah, as Alex said, that's pretty much similar port forwarding techniques that you need to do. But maybe with there are some restrictions on the ports that we probably might be able to use. So that's something we're looking into it, but we'll update it on the website once it's available. How long is the wall time for model training using IPU on ALCF? Uh, Again, it's dependent on the kind of model, like what is the size of the model, and how many IPUs are using to replicate it, and so on. So there's no specific one specific answer for it. But did you have any particular model in mind when you're asking that question?
I did not ask that question.
No, it was somebody. Um,
Just curious.
yeah,
Just
it was
curious.
Yahweh. Yeah, it's pretty much dependent on the model.
Yeah, it would take maybe from a couple of seconds or 10 seconds to, well, for larger models, 28 minutes to compile, and from seconds to hours to run. It really is dependent on the model.
Yeah, but okay, I think I read that question wrong. But if you're if you're meaning like if there is a max time limit on the AI test beds, like for especially speaking of the Graphcore system, no. Once you get onto the queue, the resources are allocated to you until the particular application is completed. You have all the resources at your disposal. So there's no limit of what time that is provided for the user. It's essentially first come, first serve. Yeah, Bill has provided a good answer there. So you can run your models until they're finished. Of course, if there are any for emergency cases, or in case that you're going to reboot the system, the sysadmins do have the right to cancel your runs, but that's pretty much, otherwise, not under any normal circumstances, your application that you provided will run until it encounters an error, or until it's completely finished, or for the number of epochs that you specify. Any other questions, please feel free to put it up in the chat window, or please unmute yourself and ask here. And make use of the Alex is here. He can provide you all the insightful answers.
Would there be like any coming architecture from Graphcore? Recent one, are you guys like bringing up new architecture, like working on the next generation, or improvements to the current ones?
Yes, we are working on the next generation, and the roadmap, I feel a very good feeling about that, but we have not mentioned anything publicly yet. Hope we can do it soon enough.
Alex, did you address scaling and number of replicas scaling? I just wanted to say that one of the nice things about this system is that scaling is pretty easy. You just ask for more replicas.
Yeah, maybe it would be good to reiterate that if you have something to add. I think I mentioned it briefly.
Yeah, basically, once you have a single IPU model working in PyTorch, at least, scaling is straight to the up to and including the full pod 64 is straightforward.
Thank you.
So one of the other questions, that we do not have Habana as part of the ALCF testbeds in the production as a production system. So yeah, that's why it's not included in these series. I think if we have no more questions, then we can probably end early.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for organizing the workshop. I appreciate that. And thanks everybody.
Thanks, Alex. It's great to always have you provide an end-to-end, information of Graphcore.